What is this crescent-shaped cutting plier? Possibly veterinary. It's clearly hand-forged with oddly shaped crescent blades that seem meant to cut, but don't meet even when fully closed. I found it in an estate auction that included some medical and veterinary tools, but also many regular tools. Any idea what this is made for? They're called sugar nips, designed to cut sugar from a block. Before the introduction of granulated and cubed sugars in the second half of the 19th century, the domestic consumer purchased sugar in the form of a sugar loaf, and pieces were cut from it by hand, using sugar nips. There was also an all-in-one version, a box that could serve as a container for the sugar loaf with built-in pliers, and a collector drawer for fine grain residues from the sugar cutting. What are these little porcelain angels with rings in their hands? They were found in an old box of Christmas decorations, but no one in the family has any idea what they are or remembers seeing them before. They're about 3 inches long and made of porcelain, shiny glazed on top, but the bottom is rougher. Nothing is written on them anywhere. The rings they're holding are not quite as big as a US quarter coin. My first thought was tree ornament, but when I hung them on the branches it looked like they were rocketing off to the moon. It definitely seems like they're supposed to be parallel to the floor. Any idea what it is? They are Christmas flying angel candle climbers or candle huggers from the 1970s. They slide down a taper candle, and it looks like the angels are flying above your dinner table. My grandmother had these. Presumably you'd remove them if you want to burn the candle. My friend received this passed down from his great-great-grandfather. We're guessing it's either bronze or copper. It's lightweight, around 11.5 inches long, and seems to have a star pattern at the top. Somebody said it's an ancient Roman bronze medical spoon, but there is no bowl in the piece. It is flat with a design etched onto it. Any ideas on what this is? It's a Lauriston bronze disc-headed pin from ancient Persia, circa 1400 to 900 BC. Here's an almost identical one, but their use is uncertain. They were probably both used as votive offerings, as the numbers found in the excavated temple at Circdom suggests, but also worn as decoration or for fastening clothes. What is this weird cowfoot thing with a metal top I have seen on an estate sale listing? It measures a little over 5 inches in height and about 6 inches in length, with worn down fabric wrapped around it. Does anyone know what this is? It's a Victorian-era inkwell, fashioned from a cow's hoof. The hoof is surmounted with a pressed glass inkwell and the brass-hinged lid with repoussé cherub decoration. Here's the exact same one with the hoof engraved World's Fair St. Louis 1904. What is this thing that looks like a typewriter, but the letters are in alphabetical order? We found this in the woods, and it's very heavy. It has some wires connected to it, and some letter keys are missing. I'm curious as to what this is. Any suggestions? It's a keyboard panel from a tabletop jukebox selector from around the 1950s. Basically, it's a remote control for a jukebox. It would sit on the table or on the wall in your booth in a diner. You put your money in that, select the record, which then gets played on the jukebox at the other end of the room. The ones that people think about when you mention wall boxes are all made by Seeburg, and this particular model is perhaps the most iconic. What is this strange clock-like thing I found in my house? It has 3 screws on the back and has a dial that moves right to left, but can only move about 10 degrees. It says GPO 13588 on the dial and is very heavy. I think it's something to do with the weather, but I could be wrong. What would you call this and what is it for? It's a galvanometer. This was manufactured in 1918 at one of the General Post Office main factories at Telegraph Works, Silvertown, London. It is used to indicate the presence and direction of an electric current, and not its magnitude. Hence there is no scale on the instrument, and instead, the indicator needle is able to move to the left or right, being constrained by 2 end stops. In the 1800s, they enabled long-range communication through submarine cables, such as the earliest transatlantic telegraph cables, and were essential to discovering the electrical activity of the heart and brain by their fine measurements of current. What is this? Some kind of serrated kitchen utensil? It is some sort of utensil used to cut something, but I don't know what. I would say about 15 to 20 centimeters long, and guessing from the previous century. My first thought was something to do with making cheese. Does anyone know what this is or what it was used for? It's a mid-century tomato slicer from the 1940s. It has 10 serrated blades going across that will cut your tomato nicely. We had one of these growing up, such a simple thing. But it works much better than me trying to slice the tomatoes evenly by hand. And it works in seconds. Perfect tomatoes for sandwiches and burgers. What is this old hand tool my father found many years ago? It's about 6 inches long from handle to head, and not sharp. The ball at the back is flattened like the face of a hammer. The handle is wood and as far as I know, it's original. It has no moving parts, and the metal part is fairly thin. My father has had it for 50 years, but does not know what it is or where he found it. Any ideas? It's a bladed ice chipper or ice pick. It was patented on March 31, 1885, by Ethan Rogers of Cohoes, New York. The patent says the serrated end of the pick readily cuts or divides the ice, and the weight at the opposite end of the blade assists the cutting action. But by simply turning the tool in the hand, the head of the picker weight thereon breaks the cut ice into small or fine particles, which has a hammer-like action exceedingly handy and convenient. What is this pumpkin thing that opens on a hinge I found in my local thrift shop? It has a latch inside with a small glass jar and a sharp pin attached to the jar. There's also a flat glass surface that opens to reveal a little compartment. What is it for? It's an antique box pendant, intended to hang from a chatelaine in Victorian times, and is possibly French. It's an antique etui made of brass which would have been gilded originally. It was used for holding needles, cosmetics, and perfume bottles. One side of the pumpkin has a mirror that opens for a powder puff. The other side has a retractable basket for pearl-topped pins, and a little perfume bottle. What is this heavy metal device? The handle of the roller appears to have the year 1880 on it. I recently received this from my grandfather, and it has been in the family for a while. There seem to be instructions to set this on the stove with a removable piece of metal below the roller. We are trying to find out what this may have been used for. Does anybody know what this is? Please let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Let's make life fun.